What's up?
That one. That one.
Really?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
That one.
Hello.
Okay, stand for a minute, and I'll just stand over here. Okay. Get your photos in now. You can Photoshop me out later. Okay, good, good. Are you all done? We won't make him lift his shirt, will we, for the tattoos? No, no. I thought you were.
I'm good,
You
I'm
were.
good. I'm good, I'm good.
Later.
All right.
I have to get my glasses on. Keep taking photos while I get my glasses on. He's too young to need glasses yet.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
You okay?
Awesome. Thank you guys for coming.
Shush, I asked the questions.
Oh, sorry. I had something.
You got chat away while I...
There we go.
You've all got the book, right? Or going to get the book? Number 2. Yes, got it, good. He'll sign them afterwards.
Mom.
Mom.
Jeez.
I know, see, he doesn't remember these things. First of all, before we get started though, we were discussing tattoos, as one does, in the green room.
You got tons.
0. How many of you here have a tattoo?
Okay, get out of here.
Okay, we just want, we were
So
just
what kind of
curious.
hooligans? This is a library.
We were just, we were curious actually more than anything else. And we're delighted you're here today because you were sick a couple of weeks ago and we were a little worried about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting over it slowly. Wow.
Okay.
I got vertigo, which sounds fake.
Yeah.
And slightly awesome. Like, yeah, dude, I got vertigo. Awesome.
Don't spin your head too much.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
get a little nervous.
So I'm a little bit spinny and dizzy, and
But you're okay.
but I'm okay.
All right.
And I'm slowly getting back. But yeah, if anybody has it, raise your hand.
And
Yeah, all my vertigo peeps.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently
there's
it's.
a meeting later afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently it's pretty common. So once
You'll
again,
get
I'm
better.
not special. But yeah, getting over it and happy to be back. And honestly, thank you guys for coming because I know it was a bummer, but thank you guys for coming back. Honestly, it means a lot. Thank you.
So quickly, because you all know his bio pretty much. The 2 restaurants in Montreal, Garde, Manger, which opened in 2006, Le Bremner 2011, both located in Old Montreal.
Yes.
You've got your TV shows. Nobody knows about the TV shows, right?
No.
No idea about what you do on
A lot of
TV.
these people have seen me on Cops probably.
Yeah.
But that's it.
And now you're doing your new season on the cooking channel in the US of Chuck's Eat the Street, which is cool. You go down some, not the streets you'd think of in major cities in the US, or not even major cities, but kind of off the beaten track, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, I always say, like, hopefully we get a good TV show out of it, but personally, for my life, it's fantastic. You know, I get to travel around the US, meet tons of chefs, learn new recipes, get involved, and there's always like a mini adventure. For those of you who saw Chuck's Week Off, it's kind of like the American version of that condensed only in the States. So it's not at all the same thing, but it's kind of like that travel adventure and really all about learning about food. So it's cool. I'm so blessed and lucky that I have a chance to do this. So yeah, hopefully it'll come to Canada soon. But if not, steal it off the internet.
We've got a few streets.
Please.
Yeah, we've got a few streets here in Toronto. We'll take you down. Too.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Awesome.
But you've just got a new project you're doing with some of your buddies, your chefs in Montreal, and it's an app.
Yes.
Called Deep Dish MTL, so Deep Dish Montreal.
Yeah, Deep Dish Montreal. It was really me and 5 other chefs that you know have known each other forever, and basically it's an app, but it's really a cookbook in digital form. And
don't let that stop you buying the book.
Please keep on buying the books. So yeah, it's basically digital garbage. No, it's an app. It's basically a cookbook, but it's not just one chef. It's 5 chefs from Montreal, and you know there's some sneaky deal in there where you got to pay $2.99 at one point probably. But there's the downloadable app at the beginning is free, and there's I think 10 recipes that come with that, and you know. There's like 30-minute meals, 15-minute appetizers, like everything's fast. This is kind of like slow. It's a little bit, I'm not gonna say advanced because I don't think cooking really is advanced. It's really for everybody in a sense. But they're kind of pushing the culinary boundaries, and the recipes might take a little bit longer and a little bit more complex, but yet they're easy and anybody could do them, hence I'm doing them. So you know, it's not too
It's a nice
complicated.
enhancement to the books and things like that.
Yes, it's a nice enhancement, and it's for somebody who hasn't come to Montreal. It's a great way to discover
You've
restaurants
got like
before
Joe
you go.
Beef and
Yeah,
you've
Joe
got Emily,
Beef,
yeah.
Maison Publique.
Yeah.
Oh my God, who else? Who cares? I'm on it, and it's fun. And you know, the beauty of an app too is that we can add on to it, and but it's not a book.
Not a book.
That I can sign. So.
Were you like 12 years old when you started this?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like honestly.
Yeah, I feel like I'm 12 years old.
So tell us how your mom, you went to culinary school.
Yeah, I went
Your
to.
mom kind of said, go.
My mom was actually the first one to tell me, like from the beginning, like you should be a chef. I see you as a chef. Even at school, in high school, when you did aptitude tests, it was always chef, and I was like, why do I have to be a burnout? Can I not be an accountant? Can I not? Because up at that point, honestly, I hadn't really met any chefs, or either I knew like the French guy that was like so annoying, you know, like in my books, like the sniffing a glass of wine, or like the guys that I would see in restaurants, and I'm like, these guys don't look happy. Like, so I really, at that point in time, like when I was like 12 years old, I really didn't have a clear vision of what it was to cook professionally or be a chef.
Right.
I hadn't had really many examples, but my mom kept on pushing me, and I had the dream of, I had a couple, but you know, ad agency was really, creativity is the main thing in my life. So I thought I would work in publicity or an ad agency in the creative department, but realized very quickly, studied that in school and always was working in restaurants, and even when I was working in an ad agency, I had a job on the weekend in a restaurant.
Working in a restaurant.
So my mom always kind of said, you know, like you really love cooking and working in restaurants. Why don't you make that your work? And I never really hit me until I actually went to work in Banff for a summer. Don't remember. And I was 17 years old. No, I had an amazing time. Worked really hard though. It wasn't easy, you know. And I remember I was a busboy, and one of my first restaurant jobs. And I remember walking into the kitchen, and the general manager of the hotel walked up to the chef and said, "Chef, permission to speak." And I went, "Whoa, this guy," and I knew this guy from like not working in the kitchen. I'm like, this guy is asking this maniac if he can speak? I'm like, wait a minute.
You want that job?
I'm like, I want to be this guy. And that was it. Like I came back and started working in kitchens and went to cooking school. And, you know, cooking school was a great part of obviously my culinary instruction, and I learned a lot, but you know, it doesn't teach you the sense of urgency. You know, we're lucky today with all the books and internet and travel. Everything's so much more accessible. You know, back then, 18 years ago, there really wasn't as many, and it wasn't like it is today where there's so much information. And you know, cooking school was more of a place to go get a degree and get like $5 more an hour on your paycheck, or get a certification, or, you know, in my class, I really didn't have anybody that was really passionate about food or interested in cooking the way I was. So I think for me, my first day of culinary school, when I chopped an onion for the first time the right way, and I looked at everybody in my class and went like, wow, like this is for once in my life, I'm actually head of the class.
Yeah.
I can excel at something, you know what I mean? So it was kind of an eye-opener, you know? I think it was just really about the passion and the love of something. So that was really the eye-opener for me.
Yeah.
Like,
it was a few years ago. I actually met, well, I didn't meet you. I was in the same room as you. I know, kind of like you're all out there now. But it was at the Cuisine Canada Book Awards, and your first book was in French at the time.
Yes.
And you got up, you got a silver award, and you got up and did a...
If you're not first, you're last.
Well, only in Canada. But I am so glad you got that, because you got up there, and one of the first things you said, you paid tribute to Madame Benoit.
Yes.
And I was really thought, good for you to really recognize from where you came and where the Quebecois cooking, Canadian cooking came from. And I really and then also you also endeared me when you said one of your favorite cookbooks is Martha Stewart's Entertaining. I love that book. So I know.
Honestly, the oldest one, but get it right now. It's still to this day the best.
I love that book.
It helps to be a trillionaire. I'm not gonna lie, but it's a nice book.
Okay, enough about Martha. Tell us about Madame Benoit and how that really influenced in Quebec and then beyond that. I mean, people are tending to forget.
The thing is, for me, Madame Benoit, and I never met her, and I really wasn't exposed to her that much, but...
You've got a great photo in here of her.
I do, and that's actually my book, which is, I don't know, 50, 60 years old. It's all ripped up, and it was really my first cookbook my mom gave me, and growing up, my mom's generation, they grew up knowing her recipes off by heart and learning most of her recipes in school. Back then, that was part of what they were taught in school. So my mom had this kind of a romantic view of her that she kind of fulfilled in a sense, because she did become somebody that was kind of like Quebec's Julia Child, if you will, in her time. And just really inspired my mom and inspired my whole family and myself. And that was the first cookbook I got, and kind of like every kid, I was like, oh, what is this old cookbook? I was kind of like, oh, whatever. I started looking through it, and the recipes were not only kind of straightforward and authentic to Quebec, but just there's always a story behind stuff, and the way she was, she was one of the first to actually have a cooking show as well. And I know when microwaves came out, she had a whole book on how to cook with the microwave, and there's a whole bunch of weird things too that just added to the mystique for me, because I'm not from that generation, so I didn't really know her that well. So I knew her through her books and through her recipes, and she's just really an influence in the fact that she inspired me to cook. And it was really the first cookbook where I looked at recipes and got an idea of what it was like to cook, and kind of improvised with those ideas and not necessarily stick to the recipe. My mom put me in cooking classes when I was quite young, and I always related it to playing with food. I always I was like, man, this is fun. Chicks dig it, and you get to play with food, and then you eat it. It's fantastic. Why isn't everybody doing this? So I don't know. I kind of really enjoyed food as well. And so I think that was also one of the reasons I got so interested in food, but she's definitely a big part of it. And
it's just nice that you paid tribute. And I think for somebody of your age, who would maybe just, go to the next great thing, but you're looking behind you to say from where you came.
Yeah,
so I just want to say thank you for doing that.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Jeanne.
Yeah. Wherever
you may be.
Now, in Garde Manger, the first book, Garde Manger literally means keeper of the food. And you say, you talk about the larder as being the larder is your favorite place in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Why? Why is the larder what do you like about the larder?
Well, I kind of grew up as a garde manger. It's, it's where the food is, but it's also a position where, you take care of apps and really the pantry. That's your whole thing, and growing up in kitchens, I was always that guy that was in charge of, so the chef might be talking to clients, doing something, he might be checking out his sauce, but when he turns around and says how many cherries do we have? 73, chef. They're what, are you serious? 73, chef. And 72. It was kind of so it was kind of my way of not controlling, but being that extra added value in a sense where the chef was always okay, this guy knows, out of everybody else in the kitchen, he might be at the bottom, but he's working his way up and he's really taking inventory, really. So that was kind of my strength in the kitchen, where I love that position because you got to do a little bit of everything. Back in the day, growing up in the French classic style of cooking, there was one guy making sauce, one guy making meat, one guy doing fish, one guy, and when you were garde manger, you were appetizers, desserts, soups. I remember my first restaurant, we had 4 appetizers of the day. And that to me was, the guy working with me was his biggest nightmare, and that was the thing I loved the most, because it allowed us to be creative. Was it always good? No, but that's why we had a chef. That's why we had somebody there to trouble. I remember one day I spent probably 3 hours making cream of spinach soup with a garnish, and the chef came in and said, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "Cream of spinach soup, chef, and in my garnish." And he's like, "Cream of spinach soup? That doesn't exist." Garbage.
Oops.
I'm like, "What?"
3 hours.
He's like, "Yeah, nobody's ever heard of cream of spinach soup." And then like 4 hours into service, he's like, "You know what? Cream of spinach soup could have been okay." I was like, "We chef."
Yeah, we should.
Like, what? So yeah, so I learned a lot.
The larder is a good place.
Yes, it is.
And in the new book, Chuck's Day Off, which you all have, right? And will have, you break it down into groupings like suppliers, industry, life, and then within the suppliers, for example, you talk about their spice guys, the obvious ones, cheese, butcher, but you also talk about the linen guy, and you talk about your landlord. Not everybody talks about their landlord.
But not everybody's landlord is Greek and invented the world. Hello, yeah, he's a character, and you know what?
But good. I mean, it's great.
It's
that you
great because
shine
you know,
the light on them.
Yeah, I mean, there's the obvious, you know, like the cheese and fish and meat and stuff like that. But there's, you know, the plumber, the linen guy. These are all people that I see more than my family. You know, they're people that are so important to us. And if you've worked in a kitchen professionally, you know how important a rag is. And when we see Norm walk in, it's like, "Hey, Norm, how are you? Yeah, where's the rags, man?" Like, everybody's stealing them, stashing them, hiding them. It's like your lifeline, you know, literally. Like, it's really like without a rag, you're nothing in the kitchen. So people don't really know that, you know. But for me, it was important to invite him and not the owner of the company, which I don't know. And you know, that was when we started doing the show. We're like, "Oh, we want to invite Norm," but they're like, "Well, wait a minute, we'll get the president. This is TV, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't know the pres. Like, me and Norm, we're buddies.
Norm, yeah.
You know, it's like when we see Norm roll in, we're excited."
Yeah.
So, you know, I wanted to be the real people, and I wanted to be authentic and honest in the sense that, you know, everybody that came on the show was a real person that was part of my life. The ones that are a little bit of a stretch, if you will, is the hospital. I invite the hospital staff because I actually broke my ankle during an event, and I went into the hospital, and I'm lying down, and I kind of came out of it, and the nurse was like, "Well, you haven't eaten in like almost 2 days. You must be quite famished." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, I'm pretty hungry." She's like, "Well, this is the room service menu." And I'm like, "I'm in a hospital. Room service?" She's like, "Yeah, we've changed our menu. We were wasting too much. So we've come up with a room service menu where you can eat as much as you want or as little as you want. And obviously some people, there's certain things they have to eat, but in general, you're allowed to order as much as you want or as little as you want." So I was like, "Well, wait a minute. This is fantastic. Can you break my other leg?" You know? So I ordered a grilled cheese sandwich, chicken noodle soup, pudding, jello, the whole shebang, and it gets there, and I'm eating the soup, and I'm like, "This is made from real chicken. Like, this is not made from powder." So the next time she came in, I'm like, "This is all like real food. Like, this is really good." Well, it's not that good, but it's real.
It's
It's
palatable.
I gotta be honest. It's not changing my life, you know, but it's pretty amazing that a hospital, you know, and when you think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense that a hospital would be serving real food, get people to heal faster, obviously,
Right.
and you know, but in the world that we live in, it's really not the case. So I was really impressed by that and decided, you know what, it doesn't make sense really, but because of my ankle and because I was there and I saw the work they were doing, I was impressed, and I decided, you know what, we'll invite the hospital, you know, the nurses and the people that really. And the chef, who ultimately is, I mean, when you're serving, I forget how many thousands of people a day, but, you know, food costing and all the things I can't stand that I hate, just because it's part of the business, but.
Not
you know,
part you want to do. You want to be in the larder.
I want to be the guy that like gives more, you know, not takes less. Like, it's always about taking off. Lobster, that's too much. Restaurants, you know, that's the business. So business side of it, I'm not too impressed, but I love to cook, and this guy, you know, it was amazing to see him go. So I really wanted to pay tribute to the unsung heroes, really, that make it happen, that are behind the scenes, that we never know about, that we never see. And ultimately, like, Norm's got 4 kids. He does not go out. He never comes to the restaurant. You know, I just feel for him, you know, and he's a great guy. And I'm just like, I'm probably gonna be in that situation one day. and hopefully somebody breaks my ankle or takes me to the hospital or takes me out. I don't care. But when you have 4 kids, you need a moment, like, you know, like I was like, man. So that's kind of why we invited them. And on the other side is also to show them what we do. You know, they come in during the day, they see us prep, they never see us in our element. You know, they never see us at night when, you know, the lights are down low and, you know, the guys are changed into their service uniforms and, you know, it's a little bit more sharp and, you know, he'd never really seen that. So I wanted to give him that experience as well. So it's really about that. It's really about celebrating the people that don't really get, you know, some people will talk about certain farms and certain vegetables and, you know, these were grown here and this and that, which is great. But, you know, my linens were delivered by Norm today, and I hope they're to your satisfaction. That you don't really see that much, but you know, it's important to us. So,
a little bit about the Iron Chef America.
Yes. Oh, stop. Worst and best day of my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Best day because I got to meet Iron Chef Morimoto. He's like my ultimate favorite. Doesn't really speak any language, I think. I realized. They all told me like his English is not that good, but I'm like, his nothing is never great. I haven't heard him say anything. Once he was like, what is it? It was a red pepper. Like, you've been in New York. You know what a red pepper is. He's like, oh, what is this? Like red pepper? Like, It's like, dude. He's amazing. One of my ultimate like kitchen heroes. And so I got to New York, and you know, I brought 2 of my guys with me, and for me it was really the beginning of all this TV stuff, and you know, just to go to New York, to be at Food Network in the studios and see all the, you know, Bobby Flay was actually practicing some stuff in the kitchen when we got there, and when we got in the elevator we met Morimoto. You know, Alton Brown, like all that, you know, the whole scene, like what you see with the smoke, it's like just being there was like surreal. So that was the great part. And and the fact that I was with my guys and we got to spend a couple days in New York, go eat and just enjoy. And
what's the bad part?
The bad part is that we beat Bobby Flay. I was like, I don't know. So it was a really weird feeling. Like you thought I would have been really happy.
How is he when?
You know what? Bobby Flay's like is like New York, cut and dry, super friendly guy, but visually like doesn't look really. He's not a guy that smiles much, but he's a super nice guy. And after that I've gotten to know him a lot better, and it was just. You know, really, I came all the way here from Montreal and did this to Bobby Flay. Like, why? You know, like, so it was weird. When we finished, we were all like depressed. We're like, oh man, what did we do? And I think it was a lot to do with the fact that personally, you know, I'd really just worked in restaurants and I was used to, you know, the local celebrity on my block. You know what I mean? Like on my block, I was pretty cool.
You're pretty
like,
cool.
I'm not gonna lie.
You're Mr. Hughes. You're chef.
You know,
chef.
On the block, you know, we were running that block. But then this is like, I think the realization of people and how many people were gonna see this. You know what I mean?
So how did it change your life and your career?
It was insane. I mean, ultimately for me, it was probably one of the biggest. In terms of recognizability, it was definitely the biggest thing I've ever done. And then there's also the fact that you have to live up to that expectation in your mind. And, you know, all this is really, and I'm just like a regular guy like everybody else, you know what I mean, that has the chance to be on TV and travel. And honestly, I'm just really, really lucky that I have the chance to do this. But ultimately, I think for me, the way I interpreted it was like the pressure was on now. It's like, well, you beat Bobby Flay, like,
now there's an expectation.
You can't let people down, and the whole world has seen this. And I remember being in Mexico in a city called Huamantla that's like, I don't know, probably like 1 million people, which is small for Mexico. You know, like, I don't know how many people, but like really not that many people, like super small town. And there's a construction worker and he's like, Iron Chef?
Oh, no.
I'm like, get out of here. Are you serious? I didn't see one TV in that whole village. Like, seriously. Like, you know what I mean? It was like one of those places where it's like, my hotel didn't have a TV. It was like, what's up? Like, this guy knows me from that. So I think it was realizing those things in my head and going like, wow, the pressure is on, you know? And it's something I guess I struggle with sometimes, you know, because I grew up for almost like 16 or 18 years working on the line for like $9 an hour. Yeah, not thinking about anything but opening my small restaurant, and really never had enough money to get cable, so I never watched Food Network. You know what I mean? Like it was really kind of like, for me, like the whole deal was working hard, making good food, and hopefully chef will let me look out the kitchen so I can see somebody happy eating an appetizer that I made. And I was like, that's the life. I'm killing it right now. Like, you know, for me, that was it. So I never really expected anything else or thought anything else was possible. And I think Iron Chef was the trigger that said, like,
you can.
Things can, you know, you're a small kid from Montreal, but I mean, things can happen to anybody. And I think that was the marker for me where it was like, wow, you know, mentally it was hard to kind of adjust to that, and really I still deal with it today. You know, I still sometimes struggle with it because I'm at heart, I'm still that guy that's on the line, you know, thinking like, oh man, everybody's an idiot. I'm the best, you know, and then in another sense, you know, I'm not. It's opened my eyes to so much, and it's been so humbling for my life. And you know, chefs tend to be a little chefy, and
no,
yeah, one or two. Not in Toronto though. You guys are good. Don't worry. But you know, the whole chef world is kind of elitist. It's not so bad anymore, but you know, there's still this sense of importance. You know, I'm a chef, and it's like, yeah, you cook. You know, there's like tons of nurses that are saving lives, like, you know, and there's a lot of people out there making a difference, and you know, you put food on plates, like it's great, and I don't want to take anything away. Everybody's got to eat, but you know, like take it down a notch, you know, and just you're.
The whole concept of celebrity chef drives me crazy.
It's
you
like,
don't say celebrity author, celebrity nurse.
You know, I'm like, why? And they asked me that, so how does it feel to be a celebrity chef? I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Did your mom get a better restaurant reservation now? Because of that?
You know what? And that's another
Not at
thing.
your place.
Not at my place. She can't get in. But no, you should see the comments. I know. I know. I've seen her on Yelp. Don't worry. The other thing is before all this, I would actually go to more places and say like, hey, I have a small restaurant in Montreal, you know, or I work for this guy, and you know, the food was amazing. Thank you so much. Now it's changed the dynamics of me in a lot of ways. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, you know, and it's just, I'm just a normal guy. And that's the whole struggle for me sometimes is, you know, sometimes I go to a restaurant, it's weird. Right away I walked in, there's a weirdness, and I feel it.
Food start coming out?
And then it's like, well, sometimes it's like, it gets
Is that from customers as well, do you think?
Well, customers, yeah. And sometimes it's like, you know, I want to just go and eat like one plate and have a normal meal, and it's like 12 courses.
They want you to try everything.
You know, which I respect and I like, but then it stopped me from going to a lot of places a lot of times because, you know, I don't have 7 hours. You know, on my block in Montreal, in the summertime. How about we all
come though?
Guys,
and then
you're
we'll
so
have
invited.
The 12
come
plates.
to my house. What are you, crazy? Come to my house.
So
I'll ask Mark McEwen if I can borrow his dining room table, and you could all fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Mark McEwen's the man. He's, you know, I mean,
he's got it. Come on.
You know, yeah, I mean, you know, I grew up watching him on and he hates that. Yeah. I grew up watching you. What did you say? I'm not that old. I'm like, I swear, my whole life when I was this big. Yeah, they hate that. Like the older guys, like you say that. I grew up watching you. Like, oh, don't say that. or go to Bob Bloomer. Oh my God, my mom loves you. Right away, you're out. Right away, you're out. Because I was like, growing up, I was like, Bob Bloomer, really? The toaster? My mom was always like, he's amazing, he's so creative. He reminds me of you. I'm like, Ma, like, really? And I know him, he's a great guy. And I did love that show, but it's funny because I think a lot of people say that to him, like, hey, my mom loves your show, man. And he's like, yeah, okay, thanks. But where were we? Who cares?
Who cares, exactly. Do you, tell us something about what you love about your restaurants, though, that we don't read about in reviews or see or whatever. Like, what do you love about the restaurant?
You know, that's a great question. And, oh yeah, I remember what we were talking about. We'll come back to it.
No clue.
Yeah, it's something that, and it almost seems like it's just happening, but we put a lot of work into it, is really the ambiance and the customer service and the service element of a restaurant. And anybody who's been there, you know, I know the chef is always right and he never makes mistakes and all that, like, but we're humans, and, you know, sometimes people just don't like food and they're never happy.
Really?
And I can't help you with that. But in general, you know, it's really more than just the food or the ambiance, but really a combination of everything. And when it really comes together, you know, it's really about the whole experience, and that's the package that I like to give. You know, really the music, the food. The ambiance, but ultimately is the creative and amazing, positive staff that works at the restaurant. And we've almost had a culture of people that are just, you know, you might be going to university and working in a restaurant to support yourself. That's great, but you give your 100% in school, you got to give your 100% here at work. And, you know, when you give your 100% and you give your all, it reflects on what you're going to be doing in the rest of your life. And for me, that's what we ask, is that you be engaged. You know, a lot of restaurants have robots, and that's what they want. Hello, let me be the pilot to your culinary voyage. Like, oh my God, really? Like, where's the nearest bridge? Where's the nearest bridge? Or like, this brain has 19 grains. Let me name them. I'm like, thank you, dictionary. Yeah, so I encourage people to be themselves and have a personality, but to never forget that we're there to provide a service. And ultimately, you know, the client is always right until he's like majorly wrong. But you know, there's just some things like that just don't fly. It's not like, you know, a lot of people have said like, oh, the client's always right. It's like, yeah, well, if you're racist, I'm pretty sure you're wrong. You know, it doesn't matter. It's not because you're in a restaurant. If you treat, you know, the waiter, the waitress, or the busboy like garbage, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You know what I mean? We're all people. But I think for me, the big thing is the service and the fact that, you know, there's, you know, so many great restaurants on there, and that people have made the choice to come and spend, you know, hard-earned money at our restaurants. And, you know, it's not super expensive, but it's not cheap. And, you know, restaurants are really for people who have a little bit more disposable income, or people who have saved up and really made that the evening or the event. And for Garde Manger, you know, it was a lot like that in the beginning, and I think it was a bit of why we became popular before TV. But then TV added 50 other countries of people that are kind of like looking at us and coming, and, you know, it's food. Ultimately, like, it won't do a backflip on your plate, and, you know, it's not gonna solve the world's problems, but if we can make your evening memorable and amazing, then really that's what it's all about. So
Hospitality.
Yeah, hospitality. And sometimes, you know, I tell that people ask me like, what's your tip for opening a restaurant? And like, you know, there's so many different styles of cooking. There's so many things you can do with a carrot. You know, like in the end, it's like, you know, do whatever you want, but don't forget that you're in the service industry and that people have a choice. They don't have to come to your restaurant. You know what I mean? And for me, it's really about that, about like, I just feel so lucky that people actually want to come and enjoy and have fun. And, you know, not everybody does, but, you know, that's life. You know, you put it out there, and the second you put yourself out there, you got to be able to take it a little bit too. So it's a little bit of both, but ultimately I would say like the service and the attention to detail and the fact that, you know, the waiters and waitresses, busboys, you know, to my dishwashers, bartenders, really, they're all really super passionate, no matter if they're doing this in passing or doing this, you know, as a lifer, as we say, but really they're in it to make a difference in that night and what they're doing, and that's really what I like to promote as much as possible, because, you know, life's too short to not take part, and life's too short to just come to work and drag your feet. And the ultimate answer is that I can do that job too. So I've never, in a lot of other businesses or things that I've done in my life, I've been scared to either offend people or say something that was maybe a little bit rude or a little bit rough. But in the restaurant, I can bartend, I can bus tables, I can cook the food.
You've done that.
Can. So I've done it all, and I feel comfortable in saying, you know, for me, I think the biggest was going from line cook to not just, you know, I was obviously chef in other places, but really being an owner and a chef and a psychologist and a part-time plumber and
Electrician.
You know, like electrician. You know, really, it's learning how to be a boss and a friend, and that fine line, you know, and knowing when to. And it took me, you know, I'm still learning today, but it took me like 3-4 years to get it, you know, because I was used to doing, and not really saying what I wanted. And as a cook on the line, like I would get frustrated, so I'd just do it myself. And then at one point, you realize the restaurant business, when it's your restaurant, you can't do it all. And you need to have good support. And I think that's when, for me, it really hit home that, you know, I'm part of a big team.
Yeah.
And, you know, to run smoothly, you know, the dishwasher is as important as
We get
as
a lot of
bartender,
that
you know, it's
when
like,
we interview chefs and stuff, and we always ask them who's the most important person in the kitchen, and they never miss a beat, and they always say the dishwasher.
yeah. You know, I mean,
Always say the dishwasher.
you have to be careful how I'm going to say this next thing, but it was a tragedy, but I was happy that a dishwasher saved the day. It was in Cleveland when they found those 3 girls that had been like, you know, in and the guy was like, I was sitting eating my McDonald's, and he's like, and I saw this pretty little white girl, and I went over and I said, and he's like, yeah, I'm a dishwasher, and I was like, yes, dishwashers, finally somebody wins it for the dishwashers. I was so proud, because I was like, and I've asked Food Network a million times, like, let's do a show on dishwashers, and like, let's talk about the dishes, because it's like it's the unsung heroes of cooking, really, and every kitchen has one, no matter how low end, high end, I don't care. And even on the shows, they're like, hide the dish. We don't want to see. Where do they go? Who cares? Get rid of them. You know who washes them? I do. When we finish shooting Chuck's Day Off, they're all piled up in the sink, and everybody goes home, because director of photography is too important to wash dishes. And the director, you know, so who to wash this is me. And there's something, it's the bomb.
Really?
Yeah, I cry. Yo, seriously, in the dish pit, mad game. You don't even want to see. The LeBron of dishes. Seriously. Yeah, it's insane. It's something about it, though, that it's like, you know, it's dirty, it's clean. It's like, yay, I did a good job. It's dirty, it's clean. You know, a pot that's like really gunky and sticky, and, you know, you scrub it, and then your chef watches you, and he's like, good job. You're like, oh, yes.
I think we need a show of you in the dish pit.
That's what I've been saying. And
Go
you know
around
what?
all the restaurants.
Michael Smith actually had a really amazing show, and I think it was even before Food Network, or probably in Food Network in the beginning, called The In Chef. Yeah. And I recently met him, and I told him, I said, like, dude.
I watched your show when you were growing up. Is that what you said? Yeah.
And I actually told him, I watched your show, and please stop growing. Because he's like 8 feet tall. Yeah. I've met him a few times, and we were in Toronto, and he's like, I want to go check out Burgers Priest. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. You know, so he calls a cab, and he hops in. He's like, I'll meet you there. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, both of us don't fit in this. I was like, Michael Smith, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, that was a show where, you know, he had a bit of a crew going, and there was a dishwasher, and there was something about that I loved, you know. And unfortunately nowadays it's kind of nobody wants to hear about it, but maybe a documentary on dishwashers, you never know, you know.
I'm going to ask you, I have to, because we're going to go to questions in a few minutes, and I'll just tell you, because there are so many fans here, and you all want your book personalized, right? Yeah. So we're going to do we're going to do 3 questions. Sorry, I know, but it's either that or each. Good one. Because we want you to have time with Chuck, so I'm sure there's photo opportunities and all that sort of good stuff. But we got to talk about the tattoos, because I'm sitting here, and one of my questions, which I like to ask chefs, is what's your favorite oven temperature? And you've got right on your arm here 275. So?
350's out.
Is that an indication of a favorite oven temp?
No, this is
What
a
is
deep
that?
fryer temperature for potato chips. Damn. Somebody's been doing their homework.
Fun.
And yeah, I regret it, but who cares? It was actually when we opened the restaurant, when we opened Garde Manger, we had zero money. And this is, I don't know if this is in the book, but when we first opened, the old man who owned the building was like 92 years old, blind. He'd been blind for 50 years. He'd never seen the building. He was super rich. He had bought the building, and his lawyer was his right-hand man, and he'd been with him forever. And wasn't particularly a nice guy, but he owned half of old Montreal, and he kind of liquidated everything, and just, I think I don't know where he is right now, but he wasn't particularly nice. And we were trying to get the space off him, which was really a dump. Like, nothing had been there for 10 years. It was really dirty, dingy, small. Like, everything needed to be kind of refurbished. And we had like, I think we were 3 partners, and we had, like, of our own money, of our parents' money, we had about $65,000. And now I think about it, and I'm like, what were we thinking? Anyways, so we had about $65,000 between the 3 of us to open this restaurant, and all of my savings, scraping from my mom, asking my grandma, like, you know, everybody doing the rounds. So we're sitting there, and he's got his lawyer next to him, and I'm there, and we're all wearing hats, and like, this is 7 years ago, so I looked whatever I looked like 7 years ago, and he goes to his lawyer, he says, straight up, like, not even like, doesn't care, he's like, so what do they look like? First thing he says, well, first of all, they're all wearing hats inside, and one of them's covered in tattoos. So he's like, if you want the liquor license, it's gonna be 55 grand. And my partner goes, no problem, where do we sign? And like, we were all kind of like, what, really? And it was kind of like one of those things that, you know, liquor licenses in old Montreal, there's not many of, so it was a really good move. But that only left us with 10 grand to open the restaurant, which was kind of insane. And, you know, we'd kind of maxed out everybody at this point. We couldn't even get a credit card from the bank. We were really kind of like, what do we do? And so basically we're all working in restaurants, and my partner's pretty handy. And he said, you know what? There's enough garbage and weird stuff in the basement that we could probably build the restaurant ourselves. And I'm like, let's do it. So we worked in restaurants, and then at night and on weekends and whenever we had a chance, we built the restaurant. It took us about a month and a half, 2 months. And, you know, the first day of opening, we were just like, man, we made it. You know, it's working. And I think it was like 10 minutes before service. I'm like, we don't have an ice machine, do we? And then we're like, no, we never thought about ice. And so I called my mom. We had $0. We had the cash that was in the cash register to open for that night, like $50 float or something like that. And like, I remember the first 10 clients were like, we ran out of ice. I'm like, I called my mom. I'm like, when are you guys coming for dinner tonight? She's like, oh, we'll be there in 15 minutes. I'm like, can you grab ice? You know, could you get ice on the way here? So that was kind of like how we started. And then when we made enough money to actually buy an ice machine, which was almost like 3 months into it, we got an ice machine. But the 275 came about, this is a long story. Then I just flipped it right up on you. You guys were just like, where is he going with this? I'm back, yo. I'm spinning, but I'm back. We had the fryer we had bought, because we had no money, we went to a restaurant that was going out of business, and we like took everything. And the woman that was going out of business, it was so sad, and we were kind of like, like anybody else, she didn't want to get rid of her stuff, but she had to. And the fryer was disgusting. And I was Mr. Chef, this is like 8 years ago. I was really Mr. Chef back then, like, whoa, forget about it. I was too cool for school. I knew everything. And so I was like, your fryer's garbage. You have no respect for your life. You're, I don't know what you're gonna do, but obviously this isn't working, and I'm not taking the fryer. And then like 5 seconds later, I was like, oh my God, you're not the chef of this place. She's not your employee. You're not supposed to talk to people like that. Like, I was learning at this point, I had no restaurant. I'd only been chef in other people's places, and I was learning, and we all learn. But we got the fryer, and finally she cleaned it up a little bit, and we took the fryer, and then when we plugged it in and everything, it didn't have a knob. I was like, oh, I'm gonna kill this girl. So for 6 years, because it was a great fryer, we used tweezers to turn the fryer on every day. And like, we could have gotten a new fryer, but it was like one of those things that, it worked. It was part of the restaurant, part of the whole, the story behind it, so we didn't want to get rid of it. And then when we opened the new restaurant, we're like, $275. That's the temp. That's the one we've been looking for. We knew it was between $250 and $280, but we just weren't sure exactly where. And it was like exactly $275. We're like, guys, we're getting it tattooed tomorrow. And obviously, we're like, that was a joke that ended up the next day, like, yeah, let's just do it. And so, but honestly, at this point, really, who cares? Yeah, is this gonna matter? It's like, as long as it's not like, I don't know. Yeah, I like the face is too
And your
much.
latest one you were showing me earlier.
Yeah,
right?
I got a baby seal in Newfoundland. It's kind of a Russian doll.
It does look like a Russian doll a little
Russian
bit.
doll inspired baby seal, yeah.
Come to get you, but it's right there.
This one's safe. This one's safe. This one's safe. No.
Does anybody have a question? Whoa. We were going to use the microphone here. There is a microphone. You need to use that because this is being taped.
Everybody run to the microphone. No, I'm joking.
One more person can go up. Well,
You've already asked me every question. You've already asked me every question.
she's distraught here. She's distraught. Anyway, first question.
Hi, Chuck. My name is Vijaya Selvaraju. I just want to say a big thank you on behalf of all of us for coming to Food Network Canada. I think you more or less single-handedly revived the network at that point, and I think you came at the perfect time with a lot of freshness, and it's really appreciated. My question...
Actually, my publicist.
I was going to say, there is a question there, right?
Yes. My question is, where did the concept of Chuck's Day Off come from? Was it something that you were working on personally on the side, or did you have, or were you approached by a production company with the concept?
Very good question. It's going to take about a half hour. So, I opened the restaurant, and about a year and a half, 2 years into it, I started getting phone calls, mostly from production companies in Quebec, saying, we'd love to do a show, but they were most of them in French. And they're like, we think we could maybe do a food show or something. And I was like, you know what, man? I'm a kitchen guy, TV, that sounds flaky. I'm not into that stuff. I just don't have time. Ultimately, I was running my own business, had a lot. And I just said, you know what, no time. A month later, somebody else calls me. Then they're calling from Toronto, the big smoke. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, Toronto's calling? This is serious. So I kept on refusing because it wasn't because really I didn't care. I just didn't have the time and was concentrating on building my restaurant, which was really my dream, And then I just figured out that, after 5 or 6 phone calls, I realized, okay, maybe there's something there. Maybe I should explore this. And I called one of my friends up. Her name's Anne-Marie Wittenshaw. She was on Much Music or Music Plus in Quebec, and she's got her own thing going. But because she was a friend and she knew a lot about TV, I said, let's get a crew together. Let's shoot a pilot. And so we sat down, and literally for 3 minutes, we're like, what could it be? Well, I'm like, we're closed on Mondays, so that's my day off. So we can do it on my day off. And then she's like, that's an amazing title, Chuck's Day Off. And I'm like, you know what? if I would do a show, it would have to be real and about the restaurant and the restaurant business and incorporate. So, that was one level of kind of brainstorming, and then it kind of came together. And really the first episode and the first time ever was the short rib and red wine. So that was the first episode ever, my first time ever on TV, and no food styling or anything like that. All of it was done by me. And as we moved along, I got a culinary team just because it was too crazy and too much. But I really just, there's, and this is 4 years ago. I haven't done anything on Chuck's Day Off for like 4 years. So I watch it, never, I avoid it as much as possible. But when I do watch it, I get so nervous, like anybody else that looks at a picture or anything of them 4 years ago. It's just like, oh my God, what did I just say? Beautiful cinnamon, I'm like, so I still stand by the show, and I still super proud of it. And I think we did an amazing job collectively, like the whole team. I'm a small part of a big team that put that together, but it was learning. I was learning as we went, and now when I watch, I'm inspired to get in the kitchen again on TV because my style is totally different. I've got so many other new things that I've learned. Every day I learn something in the kitchen. So I feel like I want to do another show that's similar, but that's just a little bit new. There's new techniques, there's new things going on. And, back then, I had a vision of food that's totally different from today. It's along the same lines in terms of philosophy, but, I just, as an episode, like, back then, it was like, I did a burger episode, and I'm stuffing the burger, and I'm like, today, I'm like, I just want a burger. Like, when I want a burger, I want a burger. So it's like weird when I watch those things. It's like that was, and it's, 4 years ago is when we ended. So that's like, it's been a while, and I just feel like I could redo every episode differently. And I think that's partly cooking in general, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that's kind of how it came about. And we got a producer, Debbie Travis, who had, many shows on HGTV. And so, and it kind of went from there. And we had 52 episodes, and then we did Chuck's Week Off, and hopefully we're doing more of that. And TV just works very slowly, it's when
hurry
something,
up and wait sort of
yeah,
thing?
hurry up and wait. And then, 52 episodes is like the magic number because it's one a week. And when you hit 52, it's kind of like on to the next. And, unfortunately or fortunately for Chuck's Day Off, it was kind of time to end because the last episode was setting up 2 of my restaurant friends on a date. It's like, okay, now if we did it again today, I would have a whole new bunch of suppliers because, like food, it evolves, and the restaurants evolve. So, I don't know. Hopefully we get to do more. I would really love to, but I don't know. But that's kind of how it came about.
Cool. There's been a spin-off in the USA, but yours is still the best.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, my answer was amazing.
Well, she kind of stole the thunder there on there, Chuck. But
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I know. My name's Paul.
Because you guys are wearing the same shirt. No, I'm joking.
I know exactly. I had one question, but then the second one, because my wife Carrie back there, she's a nurse. So when you started talking about nurses, I thought, I gotta give a shout out to her. But
Yeah, awesome.
and I know you said your moment was when you went to Iron Chef, but we watched you at Chuck's Days Off before Iron Chef.
Yeah.
Was there a moment when, I love cooking and stuff. Was there a moment when you're chopping onions or walking your dog when you kind of sat there and went, you know what? I want to be what you are now? Like, was there a moment?
I think like I had a couple moments. The one in Banff that I spoke of when I saw the chef, like that was a big one for me. First day of cooking school. I knew I wanted. I'd worked in kitchens before, not necessarily seriously, and I knew I wanted to own a restaurant and I wanted to be in the restaurant business, but I was kind of going to cooking school kind of to see what my chef would be doing. I had this attitude where I was still very young, and I'm like, I want to go there and like, I know how to sling drinks. I know how to be a busboy. I can wash dishes. But the whole chef thing, I love to cook at home, and my mom's taught me a lot, but I feel like if I'm gonna yell at a guy, I'm gonna have to know what he's doing. So I really went to cooking school to kind of be like, I want to have the whole perspective. And then I got there and I cut an onion, and I was just like, I'm pretty sure I'm the best right now at this, in this class. I am crushing it. And so that was another moment where but there were other moments that weren't so amazing and that I still remember to this day. Kitchens, there's a darker side of it too. It's, there's a lot of booze, a lot of partying, and I got caught up in that a lot too. And so, I got into cooking for a lot of right reasons, and I got into cooking for a lot of wrong reasons as well. And that's where at one point I needed to make a decision what side of the fence I wanted to be on. But there was good reasons for me to get in the food world, and then there was bad reasons, and ultimately now I look back and it's kind of insane. Like sometimes it doesn't register, you know what I mean? And so I'm just so lucky that I found something that I love to do. And I think, I said it today, I made up a saying today. I don't measure, it's the bomb, this one. This should be maybe your next tattoo. I don't measure success in dollars, I measure it in smiles. So yeah, no, seriously. And there's no punchline of like, and I skinned a rabbit. There's like, no, it's the truth. And it came out, and I was thinking about it, and like, that's what it is. Like, I love to get up in the morning and go to work and do what I do and have a good time and really enjoy what I'm doing. And, I go back to high school, 25-year reunion or whatever, or no, 15-year, anyways. I don't know how many years it was, but it's a while. And I showed up at the high school, and everybody was like, dude, are you wearing the same shoes? And I was like, yeah, pretty much. Like, maybe not the same pair, but I haven't changed much, you know what I mean? And I was like the guy that went back to my reunion all happy, and I saw a lot of the guys I hadn't seen in a long time. Like, I was like, yeah. They're loaded, but they just looked unhappy. So for me to just do what I love every day, I think is just probably the best part. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did. But I don't want to misquote you, but I remember the one thing you said in one of your shows was a sharp knife and a good pot, and that's all you need, kind of thing. So
yep.
Ben.
And a great nurse.
And a great nurse. Thanks, Chuck.
Cheers, man.
So the last, but if you weren't a chef, what would you be doing, do you think?
You want to know the honest answer?
Yeah.
If I wasn't cooking right now, there's a possibility I would be in jail. I really like.
Sorry, I asked.
Yeah.
No.
Not because I'm a bad guy, but I was going down the wrong path, and I say it sometimes like cooking saved my life because it gave me something that I love to do. Before that, I did a lot of jobs, that I liked, but I didn't love them. And when I found cooking, it was like, wow, this is like a combination of a lot of things that I really, really want. And I come from a good family and have great parents and support, but still, doesn't mean anything. I kind of went down some crazy roads, and cooking kind of was the thing that kind of got me out of it, and at least showed me something that I love to do.
Last question.
Hi.
You better make this one a hit.
No, it's not. It's so impulsive to run here. It's not even a really good question. But anyway, thank you for saying thanks to nurses. I'm a nurse myself, and it's nice to hear that it's not such a thankless job. But anyway, the question is, in all your travels, has there been any food that you came across that you said to yourself, I can't absolutely try this?
That's a really good question. I always want to keep an open mind. And we talked briefly about the baby seal that I got, but I was in Newfoundland. I've learned to love Newfoundland. I go there 5 or 6 times a year, and I wanted a tattoo that, this is a serious event.
They must be from Newfoundland.
Yeah, they must be from Newfoundland.
No?
They'll get it in a half hour. What? It's a half hour later. It's a half hour later there. What? And I kind of got this because I got it in Newfoundland from a girl that has done a lot of my tattoos, and she's from Newfoundland. And a lot of the people there, their history is sealing, and that's how they survived. And no matter what you've heard from a lot of people up north in Quebec, and there's a lot of communities that survived on it for a long time, and they've been judged for it. And I'm always a big believer of when in Rome. I don't necessarily want to eat seal right now as a canapé, but if I'm there and this is a way of life and it's tradition for thousands of years, then I want to be part of it. So that was kind of the tattoo. It was kind of paying homage to that. That being said, when you're in different cultures, it's a touchy subject sometimes to refuse or to not eat. And I remember an incident where, are you coming to tell me it's mine? Because I know about the one in Ottawa, but I didn't. There's a couple of incidents, but I have two really that are memorable, and they're both, I don't know why, but they're both in the Philippines.
Oh, I'm Filipino. Which one?
Are you really?
Yes.
Pinoy for life. I love it. Yeah, man, the Philippines is I don't know why you guys are here right now. The Philippines is the coolest place I've ever been to. I loved it, and I had a great time, and I thought probably, the food was really amazing, but I thought the people were even cooler. I thought it was hard to beat Mexico in terms of nice people, and I went to the Philippines, and they're crushed Mexico. Mexico, Philippines right here, nice. Two of my favorite places. Actually, Philippines is almost Mexico, but with soy sauce. There's a lot of similarities. No, it's true. I traveled through both countries, and there's a lot of similarities in terms of food, culture, last names. It was just I was just man, it was just weird, you know what I mean? But Philippines is probably one of my favorite places ever. And when I got there, they're like, oh, this is so great. There's an all-night market, and on Saturdays it's crazy, and we're gonna go and eat. And I just got off at an 18-hour flight, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm down. But I got there, and she's like, here, and it was meat on a stick, and I'm like, man, this is okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it looked fantastic. It looked amazing, caramelized, sticky. It looked like salty sweet. I was all excited. Took a big bite, and she's like, it's chicken anus. And I'm like, where's the rest of the chicken? Honestly, it was really? I just got off a 17-hour flight. So that was kind of weird. And you're like, do you like it? And I was like, yeah, I kind of liked it, but not that much. And so that was a weird thing. But then I had talanca.
Yeah.
Little deep fried crabs. Oh my God. Is that not life right there? Honestly, I don't think I've ever lived a day before I had that. I was just man, this is heaven. So I love that. And then, the ever so famous balut in the Philippines. So they're all you gotta try it. Everybody loves it. So I'm all right, Then you see the face, and you're oh my God. And I was just I was on camera, and they were I was oh no. And I knocked it back, and I was in terms of flavor, it's kind of like an egg. So I was in my head, I'm what am I gonna say? I'm not that impressed. I don't know what this, I wanted to say oh, this is amazing. I'm so happy. It was a whole thing, that they served me. I was tastes like egg. And they're that's it? And I'm well, besides the face part, it's actually pretty good. You know what I mean? So those were two of the really kind of insane things that I had that, I tried because I was there. I don't know if I was watching a hockey game, if I'd, eat balut just like that, which is basically, it's a duck fetus. Yeah. Sick.
You lost some people there.
Yeah. But I didn't want to offend you when I said that. You looked really mad at me. I was but those are kind of but seal, which I did have, it's kind of weird too. Like, it's not that great. But when you gotta survive. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One last question.
Yeah.
We're done. This is a quick yes or no, or you can, it's a quick one. Seeing as you're a hockey nut and you said you're going to play tomorrow.
Let's not bring up hockey. Not here.
Who's going to win the Stanley Cup first, Montreal or Toronto?
You know what? I think that kind of says it all. I honestly, you want the honest answer? I think the Leafs probably. I think the Leafs. When you've been that bad for so long, when you've sucked for so many years, you deserve something. We have 24 BTW. Just saying.
We can give you our mayor compared to your mayors, though. Might be a little better.
I was just saying before. A mayor who smokes crack, you have him under control. It's like lower taxes. All our mayors are in jail for corruption, and so we all get along in that sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Chuck, thank you so much. It's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Thank you.